tell them I said you're freaking awesome.
Oh, there we go.
I love your shirt from what I can see. That's cool.
Thank you. Sorry.
I'm glad that we get to talk. I'm excited. I want to talk about, what's been the most helpful for you, how you've grown. I also want to ask you what could have made things better, because I'm always looking to improve where you're at right now and where you want to move forward in any way I can help. So first question is what has been over the last 6 months, which is crazy. What has been, I guess, your biggest breakthroughs, biggest takeaways, lessons? What have you learned?
Biggest breakthrough, I think I shared in a previous one before, but the fact that I don't need to be dragged to the gym or don't need to be dragged to mindfully, consider what I'm eating or anything like that is wild. I think the gym part is the biggest one because I hated gym.
That's awesome. What do you think it was that changed things for you? What shifted for you?
I think the personalized sort of options of workouts, that it was a variety. I think seeing something particular on my phone every day of okay, this is what I need to do today, I think just made it a bit more tangible, because sometimes I can just get overwhelmed and be okay, so I'm going to arrive there and then what am I going to do?
Right.
If I'm not taking a class, so it can be a bit overwhelming. So it just made it very practical to actually go and do something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It helped you. So I guess going from hating the gym to not having to be dragged, there's a really good thing for the rest of your life.
It's huge, because now I can even feel it's almost that itch, when you feel I haven't moved in a few days, I don't feel like myself. I'm at the office right now, my gym bag is right here, I'm going there after this.
Yay.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really made a difference.
That's awesome. So looking back on the last 6 months, what do you think, if there's anything that could have made it better for you and improved your experience, what would that be?
I think the consistency, particularly with I feel like what I loved about when you explained the program in the beginning was the holistic view of it. And I feel like when I was getting overwhelmed or whatever, I didn't take a holistic approach. So I'd neglect one part of it, let's say, the mindful or the habits or even the eating or whatever. So I feel like if my consistency was across the board, with my eating, with the mindful activities, I think I would have gotten more out from it for sure.
And that's coming from you, and I appreciate that, because that's really honest and self-aware to be able to say that. What I guess I want to know what I could have done to make things better for you, or what the program or structure or anything that could have been more helpful for you.
I feel like it was as helpful as it could be, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I've never been this is missing, or I wish. If anything, I've actually been overwhelmed by how thorough you've been. So I would say the opposite is true, that there's nothing in my opinion that was lacking.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe if you were physically present and being hey, I've come to South Africa, what are we doing? You're not completing some of these things. What's your story? Maybe that would have moved me into order a bit. But no, I think, from the emails, the messages, every touch point, I really feel was considered, and I really appreciated that. Yeah.
That's good to hear. I appreciate that. And if you said, this was horrible, I hated this, that would be completely fine. But I do appreciate that. That's my goal for my clients in the program, is to make it so that it's the hardest thing to fall through the cracks, as much as I can.
That's exactly it. That's the best way to describe it. That's how I felt. You covered every basis.
Awesome. And where would you say your current struggle is, or where you're at in your journey what are you feeling like you want to improve right now? Because you've grown a lot. What is like the next steps for you, or what are you currently struggling with?
I think it is just applying those other areas of, you know, um, I keep using the word mindfulness, but that I think was a big anchor for like how your program is different from, let's say, anyone else's, because it's like the inner work, it's the thinking around it. I think I have grown in the area of like showing myself some grace. Like I feel like I don't go from the extremes of like
Yeah.
beating myself up to, you know, go, go, go. I do allow myself grace, maybe sometimes too much. But I think in those areas, like the mindful activities and definitely the eating part,
Yeah.
I think that's like my fitness pal part, which you know helps give you your calories. I haven't quite gotten, you know, to a point where I'm disciplined with that, and I think you would see it in my weekly reports. Like often, the lowest possible score for my
Yeah.
nutrition goals is where I'd be. Like my other things would fluctuate, habits, you know, movement days. But when it came to the nutrition goals, I think that was consistently the lowest one, where I wasn't like, cool, I've had a good week in this regard.
Yeah. So I guess the nutrition aspect is the part that you struggle with. And that's pretty common. Like it's tough to get that down. It is tough.
Yeah.
So I guess moving forward, where would you like to be, like, having a goal that you would move towards, whether it's like this year or even like a longer term goal? Like, where do you want to see yourself in a few years from now, or even, a few decades from now, if you want to go farther away, like just moving,
Yeah.
where do you want to move towards?
Yeah. I think the weight loss bit is definitely like a very tangible
Yeah.
one that I'd want to say, okay, on the scale, there's literally
Yeah.
more than 10 that I'd love to be losing. But whatever it looks like, I think I'm even a bit more flexible regarding that number on the scale. I just want to feel strong and flexible. That's my biggest thing. Um, Strong and flexible and energized. So whether that is at that goal weight or not, because
That's
I know
very true.
sometimes, yeah, I feel like that
Awesome.
feeling is quite important.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
continuing on what you've established. And I could see that, if you do continue going to the gym like you have been, and like being consistent and keeping that a major part of your life, that's going to happen. Like
Awesome.
inevitably that's going to happen. That's the wonderful thing about habits is, often we see the biggest changes at first, but it's really the consistency over
Over time.
time.
Yeah.
Like I'll just, like me personally, I never work out really, really hard. I rarely work out really, really hard. It's just something I do, every day, or it's just a part
Got
of my
you
life.
as a
And that,
habit.
yeah, and it just keeps that maintenance, that keeps me where I want to be without really having to try too hard. And like maybe, that might look different for you. And maybe there's times where you'll try harder than less. But my point is that it doesn't have to be extreme. Just keeping that consistency is what's going to really keep you getting stronger. And of course, smart progression as well with your
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. That excites me.
Yeah, of course. And then the more you have the mindfulness, you have a good foundation. So like the more that you stay open to learning new things and trying new things, maybe at some point you'll be like, you know what, I kind of want to dial in on my nutrition a little bit more and see where it takes me. Do it. And if you don't feel ready for that, that's fine. Just like, keep doing the basics, because
Yeah.
that's where the magic is, in the basics, the boring,
100%.
just like
And the
anything in life, right?
consistency in those, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Shanice
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But I think, like I say, there's some of the principles that I know I'm almost well aware of the things that I missed out on. And I know that it's really about
Mhm.
applying those, you know, and being intentional about applying those. So I think for now I'll need to just rely on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I do follow you and everything, so I'm sure I'll be able to keep like learning from you in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. You know, if you want anything or need anything, always feel free to reach out to me, and I'm like always happy to help. That you know, you're a healthy hero. You've been a part of this group. You're really special, and it's been honestly such a joy working with you, KK. It's been
Thank you.
from the beginning to the end. You've been so great, and it's nice to hear how things have been from your side.
Yeah, thank you. It's so crazy that from so far away you've been able to make such an impact. So I'm genuinely thankful. Thank you.
That's what's so wonderful about online training. That's what I like so much about it.
Yeah,
It's yeah. And before we get off, would you mind if I shared parts of this conversation or this conversation on my socials or groups or anything
I
like that? Would you
don't mind at all. Tell them I said you're freaking awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. You are too.
Thanks so much, Mish.
Always
Take
feel
care.
free to reach out, okay?
I will do. Thank you. And please give Chayu my last high five.
Yes. All right. Goodbye.